Well, hey there, guys. This is a funny little habit that I have, right? Doing periscopes in the car. But the thing is, let's see if I can't get that there, right there. Well, maybe I can, maybe I can't. Let's see here. I got this cool little stand in my car, right? But let's see if you can see my face. Why am I even doing this video? Honestly. The little stand is broke. It won't work. What the heck? My hands are too greasy or something. There we go. Alright. Bringing it down. Oh, there it is! There it is! Alright. Alright. Okay. Is anybody on yet? Let's see what you guys see if I flip it around. Oh. Flip. Oh, you can't see nothing. Man, that's funny. Anyway, oh wow, that's so much better. I'll just do it that way from now on. That's so much better. Anyway, hopefully you guys can hear me. Just make sure. So yeah, what did I title this video, or this periscope rather? I know it wasn't. Oh yeah. So okay. So here's what happened, guys. So this morning, by the way, Bret Royster from BretRoyster.com. If you didn't know that already, yeah. So what happened to me this morning, right? So I actually had a coaching call with my mentor last night, and we had quite a bit of coaching calls, right? And one thing that I've noticed every time after we get off the phone together is it's just like immediately, right? I just have this sense of like complete overwhelm, right? And it really, and you know, we've been meeting together for a while. He always gives me great stuff to work on. It's my buddy Robert, right? And it's always really good information, but for whatever reason, I walk out of, or I get out of that situation, and I am just like full-blown overwhelmed. All of a sudden, it's like everything that I thought I had to do, like for the week, for the month, or whatever, now I got all this other new stuff that I gotta do, right? And it's just sort of like, you know, if you're like me and you find yourself with a lot of ideas and a lot of suggestions and advice from different people about, you know, how to move forward in your business or your life or just whatever, you know, you start just acquiring all this stuff, all these things to do, right? And yeah, and so I discovered the other day that I have this condition called TMTD, right? And it just means too much to do. And I think everybody actually has this condition, right? It just must be like the world we live in. If you live in the United States, if you live in the city, like there's just like you're constantly surrounded by stimuli and advertisements and people trying to get you to jump into their agenda and do their things, right? And now actually my mentor, it's interesting about that, my mentor is actually, I mean, that's actually what he's doing, right? He's getting me on board with his agenda. It just so happens that his agenda is about mentoring me and teaching me to, in this case, it's my online business, right? Promote and do better and stretch myself for my online business. But, so the whole point is, I woke up, after the coaching call, I woke up, it was a great coaching call, but I woke up this morning just feeling completely overwhelmed because it's like I got too much to do, right? So, I feel a lot better about it right now, but this morning I did not, right? And so what I discovered is a technique that I've been using lately to literally like reprogram my brain, right? And I'm actually a programmer I'm a coder, I'm a programmer, I'm a software engineer, I'm a developer by schooling and training and the majority of my career, right? And so, and I've always been super interested in like hacking my brain and body hacking and just all this kind of stuff that sort of like you can shortcut your reality and just make, make cooler, basically just advance quicker than most people think you can, right? And I love working on my brain. I love working on my unconscious mind and my subconscious mind, whatever you want to call it, and just developing systems and habits and little brain tricks to bring joy to my life and literally help me be more productive and build wealth and help other people and all kinds of stuff. So anyway, one of the tools that I've used a whole lot lately that my mentor actually got me connected with is called it's from this book by this guy named Noah St. John, right? And it's called The Secret Code of Success. And in The Secret Code of Success, Noah talks about this this tool that he uses that he actually trademarked it apparently, called, it's not an affirmation, but it's an affirmation, right? And you've probably heard of this before, and I had actually heard of it like a year before I started actually using it hardcore. And if you've heard of it before, and you're like, oh, this guy's just telling me the same stuff I've already heard before, and you're not doing it, then I would suggest that you kind of just stop and hear me out here, because it's the whole affirmation thing is actually it's way more powerful than maybe you're giving it permission to be, right? So just real quick, the difference between an affirmation, so F-I-R-M, and an affirmation, F-O-R-M, right, is an affirmation is more or less like you're just saying a statement to yourself, like in the mirror, I'm good enough, I'm strong enough, and gall darn it, I can do this, people love me, or whatever, right? And or I'm rich and I'm successful and all this stuff, right? Which is great, if you're into that, do it, whatever. But for most people, what happens is when you say these things and they're not true, right? You basically condition yourself to lie to yourself about your reality, and then you hit these roadblocks of extreme mental dissonance, right? When you're come face to face with a point in your life where you're like, oh, that is not real. Like you got a speeding ticket, and the money that it's going to cost you to get out of that speeding ticket is just really painful, right? And that's like if you're telling yourself every day, I'm a rich individual, I'm very rich, I have tons of money, and then you get hit by something like that and you can't pay for it, like you hit this stressful block in your mind where you're like, oh my gosh, basically you've been lying to yourself, and now you're dealing with reality. It's like, oh, I'm really not rich, right? And the thing is, like, those kind of things, if it's helpful for you, great, but for most people, it just creates stress, right? Because you're lying to yourself, you're trying to convince yourself of something that just isn't true, right? So now let's flip that, right? An affirmation, F-O-R-M, right? Form. Affirmation is completely different. The idea behind an affirmation is that you structure, it's not a statement, you actually structure a question to yourself that prompts your brain to search for a solution. So you're not lying to yourself, you're not making a statement about reality, you're actually asking yourself a question, right? So in terms of having too much to do, right? These are I actually drafted 6 statements for myself, rather 6 questions for myself, to help develop in me a subconsciously, unconsciously, start training my brain to look at feeling overwhelmed in a different way, right? So to fight my too much to do syndrome, I drafted like 6 affirmations that were along the lines of this. Like, okay, are you ready? Why do I love having too much to do? Why does too much to do mean I have so much opportunity on my plate? Why do I love the fact that having too much to do creates priority in my life? Why does having too much to do strengthen my resolve to make real progress in my life? Why is too much to do a blessing, right? Why does having too much to do energize me and bring me joy? Because I know I'm being stretched and I'm finding the best things to do to promote the best Bret Royster I can be in my life and stuff like that. So what was I doing in those statements, right? So when I made those statements, basically, and it's amazing because it literally, like, I can't even tell you, like, maybe an hour ago, I was so, like, kind of like beating myself up about how I felt when, after drafting those statements, and actually I sent an email to my coach and my girlfriend, actually, about these statements that I drafted, because it was so profound, because all of a sudden I could just feel my body, like, just the weight of that situation just lift off my body, because now I have tons of other things tons of other affirmations, right? I mean, I have tons of affirmations, probably like 100 different questions I ask myself routinely that help me develop my mind and change the way I think, right? And but as soon as I gave myself those statements to work with, or rather, I keep calling them statements, but they're really questions, right? It's very important that they're questions. It just lifted that burden off my shoulders, right? Because what those questions do is it's sort of like a Google search engine, right? When you ask yourself a question, your brain has this way of finding an answer for it. You say, you know, where were my keys? And your brain immediately starts looking for your keys. And as soon as I said that, you actually might have thought, right here, right now, when you heard me say, where are your keys? You might have thought instantly about where your keys were. You might have known exactly where they were. Maybe you felt your pocket really quick, or you thought, maybe you're driving, I don't know, you knew they were in the ignition. Maybe you're like, where are my keys? And you asked yourself, and you kind of started this process of where my keys are at. And the only reason I'm telling you this, I don't really care where your keys are at. The only reason I'm telling you this is because I'm showing you that it works. When you ask yourself a question, right, your brain immediately starts stretching itself and finding the answers. And you can do this with any question to yourself, right? You can ask yourself anything, and your brain will start looking for the answer. And what's awesome is when you start crafting these questions in a way that you're more or less tricking your brain to be happy and excited about life, right? So, for instance, let's say that I had a problem with flat tires or whatever. Let's say I got flat tires all the time. And I wanted to, every time it happened, it got me really bent out of shape, and I hated my life or whatever. So instead, I'm going to form an affirmation, right, to destroy this negative, terrible feeling I have about flat tires or whatever it is, or not having enough money, or your business doesn't make enough money, or you have a relationship that's really hard right now, right? You start saying stuff like, so I'm going to use the flat tire example because it's just ridiculous, but why am I prepared when I have a flat tire? Why is having a flat tire not really a big deal in my life? Why am I excited to face the next time I have a flat tire? Now, a flat tire is a really dumb example, but you can start to see what I couldn't even help smiling when I was producing that affirmation for you, right? The whole, like, I can't wait to have my next flat tire, so that I can overcome it and be joyful and excited or something. And, like, literally, it doesn't even have to be like these affirmations. All you're trying to do is elicit a response from your mind and your body. That's all you're trying to do with these things. So they don't even have to be like, they literally could just be ridiculous as long as it elicits that response that you're looking for, right? If you're looking to be more productive, like too much to do. Here's the thing about having too much to do, friend. I keep looking at the camera, or rather at the screen, but I mean to look at the camera. Here's the thing about having too much to do, friend. And I'm going to close out this broadcast with this little tidbit. But you're always going to have too much to do. That is the nature of life. You are either overwhelmed with things that are not useful and are not really important to you, or you're overwhelmed with things that are useful and are incredibly important to you. And the thing is, no matter what it is, it's the same. If you live on planet Earth, especially if you live in the United States, if you live in a modern society, you are overwhelmed with all kinds of stuff. Things to do, advertisements, your goals, your priorities, your relationships, the things that really drive you, your passions, doing your taxes, getting bookkeeping, all kinds of support kind of stuff, right? Your business, your personal life, everything, your job, your work. You are overwhelmed, friend. Every single day. You are faced with too much to do. You have the too much to do syndrome. And I would just say, embrace it. Realize that it stretches you and that it's important and it's part of your life, and that using a tool like Affirmations, you can start to rewire your brain to love having too much to do and to automatically, that's the other part about these affirmations I didn't share with you, is they literally start happening automatically. I don't have to, I swear to you, after crafting those statements, I probably will never have to read those statements again. I honestly probably won't, because I've done it so much now. I won't need to read them ever again. Just the fact that I've established them in my mind, they will influence me at some level. Now, if you're brand new to this stuff, you might have to tell yourself daily, you might have to, the ones that are, the affirmations that are super important to you, those questions that elicit the response you want, you might have to talk to yourself every single day, to really form them and solidify them in your mind. But once they're there, right, you will find that you automatically start doing these things that you crafted these questions to you automatically start doing the response that you created these questions to do, to elicit in your mind and your body. So so again, if you have too much to do, I would highly recommend checking out, you can definitely check out The Secret Code of Success, or The Secret Code to Success by Noah St. John. It's one of those titles, something like that. Noah St. John, you'll find him that way. But specifically, Affirmations, right? And I just told you how they work, so you really don't need to go read the book, but you can if you want. It's a great book. But yeah, you want to use affirmations, again, not just for having too much to do, but for everything in your life. So again, if you have the too much to do syndrome, which I guarantee you have, start crafting questions in your life that will help you basically deal with having too much to do the way you see fit. And I'm not going to tell you exactly what you should do about having too much to do, because that's your own personal thing. I would recommend 3 things. I would recommend prioritizing what you have to do, focusing on the things that really bring joy and fulfillment to your life, right? Focus on those things that are on your plate, and then structure some time in your life, to dedicated time to do things that are on your plate. And then if you use affirmations, right, to basically automatically create in you the ability to just move through having too much to do and start loving it and enjoying it, if that's what you want to do, or just start dealing with it and processing it and getting through it, if that's what you want to do. However you want to deal with it, use this tool, Affirmations. So with that said, it's been Bret Royster from BretRoyster.com. Follow me on Periscope, Twitter, Facebook. Just look up Bret Royster. Or you can go to my blog it's either blog.bretroyster.com or bretroyster.com/blog. It might not be either of those. I really have to check that link to make sure it's working. But, yeah, man, with that said, hey, have a fantastic day. Get out there and do the things that are most important to you. Develop some affirmations to get yourself through your too much to do syndrome. And dude, I just wish you the best, much joy, prosperity, and wealth in your life. And with that said, I'm out.